Good morning or afternoon or evening wherever you are. Hi, I'm Fleur and welcome back to 24 Days of Comfort, a casual tea time check-in every single day until Christmas. And today we're on day 15. So, before we get started, we're going to do our cozy check-in, see if you can get comfortable, find a nice seat, and then let's take a deep breath together whenever you're ready, okay? Releasing tension in the jaw, in the neck, in the shoulders, in the back, the belly, the hips, the legs, the knees, all the way down to your toes. And then, is there anything that you need right now? This is your you time. I hope that you enjoy it. Maybe you put your phone on Do Not Disturb, or maybe you journal or draw in the meantime, whatever you want or need right now. And then it's time to talk about our Puka tea calendar. She's right there. Can I lift it up? I can't. I have it all locked. Sorry, this is a difficult tripod. We're on day 15, which is lemongrass and ginger. If tomorrow at day 16 you hear me talk a lot about the order of the teas, I'm filming this later than I filmed the rest. I'm kind of popping in real time to do the Q&A because I wanted it to be live quickly. So I'm filming this the day before it's live. So that's nice. It's going to be confusing, but we're on day 15. The teas will continue to align. Lemongrass and ginger. I thought that this was going to be a green tea, but I looked it up and it's not, so I can drink it. If you didn't know, I can't have the tea caffeine and stuff. And so far, it hasn't been an issue. I have 3 teas that I can't have. I also can't have ginger or cinnamon, so I also couldn't have another one. So there are maybe like 5 that I can't have, which I feel like overall is pretty decent. Anyway, I digress. Can somebody tell me that this outfit is giving cute and cozy and not 2016 art teacher? I feel like all that's missing right now is very heavily arched eyebrows, a lot of foundation, maybe a hat, and maybe like a mustache accessory or something. That's maybe more 2014 or something, but I feel like whenever I wear a scarf, I just feel like it's 2014 or something. I don't know. Is it cute and cozy? Because that's what I was feeling when I put it on, but now I'm looking at the viewfinder and I'm like, why do I feel like we're going to be talking about One Direction right now? I don't know. We're going to do the Q&A. In case you missed it, I asked you guys to ask me questions in one of my previous videos. I think it was on day 12. And I put in a Google form where you could send me voice memos or questions. I think because it was so short notice, I didn't get voice memos, but that's okay. I got quite a few questions and we're just going to answer them. Thank you so much for taking the time to send in questions. It means a lot and your support means a lot. So just again, thank you for being here. Especially those of you who are watching every single day. It's so special to me that you choose to take time out of your day to watch my videos, so your support means a lot. I do have my laptop here in front of me with the questions. Well, we're gonna get one question out of the way, which is someone said, Fleur ASMR horse. Yes, good. Next question. What is your favorite Elliott Smith song and why? That's a very good question. Elliott Smith is an artist that I really love. I discovered him over the summer, I guess. One of my friends sent me Independence Day and then I was hooked. So that song I think is really good. I think one of my favorites has to be Clementine. It is so beautiful and it refers to what I believe is another old folk song called Clementine about a man losing his daughter. Her daughter drowns. It's something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a song about love and loss. And I think it's just really, really beautiful. The live performance versions of it that he did are very, very beautiful and touching. I also love Punch and Judy. Let me look up, actually, what songs are on my on repeat playlist of him. Another one of my favorites at the moment is Say Yes. I think it's just really beautiful. It's simple and sweet. I'm in love with the world through the eyes of a girl who's still around the morning after, I think is a really beautiful line. So yeah, thank you for asking me about him, I am really becoming a bigger fan. So, what are your favorite types of tea and favorite tea brands? Good question. I think that I mostly like yogi tea. The brand is called Yogi Tea. I don't know if it's sold worldwide. I believe it is. Ooh, this is pretty good, by the way. We'll get to that later. But I also really like puka tea. That's what we're having right now. I meant Clippers tea. I really like Clippers tea. Specifically the lemon ginger one from them, the bedtime tea. I like their chai as well, but I prefer the chai of yogi tea more. But then any type of tea that would be my favorite is like a fresh one. So a fresh mint or fresh ginger, those are like my top favorites, but I don't have access to that every single day. Any plans for Christmas? For Christmas, on the first day of Christmas, we are having a dinner here with my grandparents and my uncle and then our family. We're doing a Secret Santa gift exchange, and that's also really fun. I'm not going to tell you who I picked, but I did already get the gifts, even though we were very late to getting it all sorted, because we all send in a list of the things that we want. It's very easy to pick and choose. And yeah, we're going to do that. And then maybe on Christmas Eve, I think we might go to church. I'm not a Christian, not a fan of the church in general, but my grandpa is in a choir. He has dementia. I don't think he's going to be singing in the choir for that much longer, so any opportunity we get to watch him sing, I will gladly take. So we're probably going to do that, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Any tips for dealing with stress or anxiety? My biggest tip will always be to find a therapist or someone to talk to, a professional to talk to, because healing does not happen on your own. It takes a village, and also managing things like this does take, I think, people around you. I think one of the most practical ways that I deal with it in my day-to-day is that I like to do breathing exercises. So the physiological sigh, if you watch my other 24 Days of Comfort videos, those really help me to calm down my nervous system. Singing helps. Anything that will activate your parasympathetic nervous system is a good way to calm yourself down. So you want to increase the traffic there. So that's why humming is really powerful. In yoga, there's pranayama, which is the breathing exercises, and there's one breath called the Brahmari breath. And you take a deep inhale and then you exhale and hum at the same time, because it also activates your parasympathetic nervous system, as well as the physiological sigh does, but in a different way. So singing and humming is a really powerful way to soothe the body. I think that it also requires a little bit of stepping out your comfort zone and doing it scared anyway. That's also a way that I try to deal with it, and letting the emotions come as they want to. So if I want to cry because I'm stressed, I'll cry because I'm stressed. Trying actively not to suppress anything, for me, helps to deal with it better. So breathing exercises, yoga nidra, getting a therapist, seeing if there are ways that you can calm your nervous system down. I think that it's very good to know that your stress works very cyclical. I really recommend the book Burnout by Emily Nagoski and Amelia Nagoski. I think they're sisters. They wrote a book about breaking the stress cycle, but you have to imagine that the brain works in a very simple way, in the sense that it sees a threat and you go into this mode where it's kind of like you're being chased by a tiger. And when the tiger is gone, but you're still running, you kind of need to give your body a signal that the stress cycle is complete or that the threat is gone. And there are many ways to do that. And that is something that might be worth looking into if you've been struggling with stress for a long time. But like I said, number one tip is to seek professional help if you feel like you can't manage it on your own and it's impacting your daily life. I hope that helps, and I'm really sending you all my love. Any tips on dealing with the spotlight effect? The thought that others might be judging you even when they are not. That is a very good question, actually. The thought that others might be judging you even when they are not is, I think, a very common feeling to have. For me specifically, I have that a lot with YouTube and stuff. I think for me, I have a really harsh inner critic that I'm working on. It's one of the things I work on in therapy, but that also impacts my experience with the spotlight effect. Now, I am also on the internet and I'm being perceived by a lot of people, and I don't have any control over how this conversation is going on your end because it's a one-way conversation. And that's something that I find really difficult because I can't see anyone's facial expressions. I can't ask other people how they're feeling. I can't meta communicate. I can't really do anything but press upload and then see the response later, and people are forming their own opinions. I mean, 1% of the viewers comment something, so there's like 99% out there who watch my video, perceive it in a certain way, and then I don't hear anything about it. So that's the perfect exposure therapy for me in regards to my fear of being misunderstood and my fear of being judged, my fear of people thinking certain things about me, perceiving me in a certain way, and that I have no control over. So yeah, how do I deal with that? I think that at the end of the day, the only thing that you have control over is how you choose to deal with things. And at the end of the day, if I can look in the mirror and say, I've acted in a way that feels aligned with my values and with who I am as a person, what I stand for, then I'm content. And that doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes and fuck up and get into conflict sometimes. It's a human thing that happens, and you can't always agree with everyone. Not always is everyone going to like you, but knowing who you are and standing by the way that you handle this situation and choices that you've made is the most important thing, because you walk yourself home at the end of the day. So it's important to befriend yourself in that, I think. For me, that really helps. I also have a very loving community around me of friends and family who I can talk to when I feel judged or if I'm afraid of being judged, and they will be honest with me, which I think is really important. At the end of the day, people are so much more worried about themselves than they are about other people a lot of the time. If you mean spotlight effect in walking past someone and being conscious of your appearance and what people might think of that, that is a process, I think, of unlearning the idea that everyone is looking at you. So it's catching yourself in the thought of someone's judging me, someone's looking at me, like, you don't know that. And if they are, it's okay, and it might be positive. Because it's not always in a bad way that you're being perceived. It's usually probably not. And once again, the only thing that you can control is how you look at other people in the world. And if you can treat other people with kindness and look at people with kindness and with compassion and empathy, I am very convinced that that will come back to you. So yeah, that's how I try to deal with it. But I will say that my fear of being judged, and with making YouTube videos, it really is exposure. I've been thinking about that a lot, especially with these videos. I feel very comfortable and safe making these videos, but sometimes I do get comments in general where people are, I don't know, picking me apart. I feel like that is just a thing with YouTube. Nothing that I ever say is going to be good enough for everyone. I can't please everyone. And sometimes that's really difficult because, for example, this is also, I think, ties to wanting to be a role model type of person, or seeing myself maybe as a role model type of person. I'm not always consciously thinking about that, but I am aware of that could be how people perceive me. It's also work as a youth work requires you to kind of step into a role model figure type of role. And I am very much not perfect, and I'm figuring things out, and I'm making choices, and I'm changing my mind all the time on things. And it's what held me back for a long time in really giving my opinion on things. I mean, I make ASMR videos normally, and that's where I can be really curated in what I choose to talk about and not talk about, because it's focused on sleep. So of course I'm not talking about super serious and heavy subjects in the majority of the videos because it's for sleep and relaxation. But that also means sometimes I censor myself a little. But that is mainly out of the fear of being judged or misunderstood or cancelled or whatever it is. And because I can't please everyone, but I do try to, I sometimes withhold myself of making videos that I want to make because I am afraid. And that's something that I'm trying to work on. One example that is coming to mind is that I wanted to make a what's in my bag video, but the bag that I have is expensive and it's real leather. And I, as you know, care a lot about sustainable choices and about the planet. I'm not vegan. I do really try to buy for life. Now that's something that I've been working on a lot, but I am so afraid of showing that bag and of the responses that I'll get from people who would make a different choice. And anyone can have any opinion on anything, and that's fine, but it's just that I'm on the receiving end of judgment in the form of comments, etc. And there's no real conversation going. That makes me really scared and held back. The reality is that I don't know how people are going to respond. This is all my own assumptions, and that is all me having such a high bar for myself, and I have to make every perfect decision, and there are things that I cannot share or say because people will think so and so of me, but I don't know that. And I have no control over that past the point of me showing up in line with my own values and beliefs and as I am, and at the end of the day, being able to look in the mirror and be like, I did all I could. The rest is out of my control. And how sad is it to let yourself be held back because of the fear of what others might think of you, even when you don't even know if that's gonna happen at all? That is maybe a long story, but it's been on my mind a lot. So I found it interesting that you asked this question because it's been a very big theme for me in my brain. So I'm glad that you brought it up, and I would love to know you guys' thoughts in the comments. And if I should do the what's in my bag, let me know and I might. Which kind of brings me to my next topic, money. Let's talk about it. How do you go about money managing and where to spend money? I'm self-employed as well, and I find it so hard to organize my money. That is a big question, and I won't be able to answer that in a big way. In a small way, I can. I try to make a saving plan, set a goal for myself, and I always set aside an amount of money with every paycheck that I get that goes to taxes, for example. I have a bookkeeper who helps me file my taxes. And how I go about managing it and where to spend it, I have a couple of vague guidelines that I have for myself. This is very personal to everyone and fully depends on what your life situation is. But what I find important is the quality of the item. It's oftentimes how it's made, it's where it's coming from, and what will I use it for and how long will I use it for. So with buying clothes or like I said, this bag, I'm really trying to make more long-term investments. I am also trying to cut myself a little bit of slack because I can get so strict with myself in wanting to, like I said, be a role model, be really perfect, morally make the best decisions. But the stress that gives me had such an impact on my mental health that I'm really trying to let go of that a little bit. I just highly recommend making different saving accounts and setting money aside for like a long-term saving plan for specific things you're saving up for. Just different piggy banks, if you will, for different areas of your life. And I think that gives a lot more of an overview and a sense of control, and also maybe more justifiable to yourself what you are spending your money on. And let's not underestimate that it is just really hard to be self-employed and manage money. That is just a complicated thing, especially when taxes are involved. For me, there's about a third of my income that goes to taxes, so whatever money comes in, I really have to take into account every single time. Not all of that is for me, and I, in my savings, have to split up what goes to taxes, what is for me, what is for business investments, blah blah blah. And I'm still figuring that out too, because this is my second year. So I also would suggest be gentle with yourself and take your time to figure that out and get help if you can. So a bookkeeper or someone who can give financial advice really, really helps and relieves any, or not any, but at least hopefully some guilt around maybe investing in your business or investing in yourself or just making a purchase for you with that hard-earned money that you made, which is something to be really proud of. Yeah, so sectioning off what you can spend what amount of money on, I would suggest helps. Different savings accounts, getting a bookkeeper, and really try to think before you make purchases, especially the big ones. How much time would it take me to earn that money back? How much more productive does it make me? What does it add to my life versus what does it cost? And then do whatever floats your boat. I hope that these little tips helped, but I'm definitely still figuring that out as well. I am thinking about doing a low buy or slow buy type of couple months in the next year. If you have experience with that, definitely let me know, because I would love to learn more about that. Any tips on how you can maintain such a great routine of reading daily, or at least still reading a good couple hours a week? And also doing yoga and breathing exercises, since I also do those, but I find it hard to keep the habit of doing them daily. My tip for creating a routine or maintaining a routine is to not do them daily and to not ask yourself to do them daily. You can start by doing them once a week or even once a month or every other week. I think that, especially online and everything, but there can be such a pressure on habit building, and then it becomes a sport. But the thing with habits is that it feels automatic after a while and natural to you, but in the beginning it doesn't. And yes, you need to get past a level maybe of discomfort, and there are things that you can do to make yourself create habits. So habit stacking, there's this book Atomic Habits that everyone and their mother is always talking about, that has great tips, which I can touch on a little bit, but mostly I would just say go easy and build it up from there. I think it's important to see what your routines are looking like right now and where you actually have the space, and just adding something in oftentimes isn't the most sustainable thing, because adding more and more and more into your day, you can't do everything. So I would suggest seeing what you can do and what you have the space and time for, and then maybe also letting go of other things that you might not have the time for right now. So for reading daily, I like to read before bed. My book is always on my nightstand. Before bed, I will put my phone down and I will grab the book. And that has become a habit. If you're scrolling on your phone a lot, it's catching yourself to put the phone down. Going to bed a little earlier so you still have the energy to read before bed could also help. And for doing yoga and breathing exercises, I have yoga once a week. I have a class once a week, and outside of that, these couple weeks, I haven't really been doing yoga outside of that because I've been busy with other things. So it hasn't been a daily habit. But yoga nidra still kind of is. And I have it scheduled at either 11 a.m. or at 2 p.m. So before lunch or sometime after lunch, and I know that that's when I have the time and space if I'm working from home to lay down and do yoga nidra. That's when I do breathing exercises and I have a moment of rest, because I know my body and I know that around 11 I have a little dip after I've worked my first block. After lunch, I usually also have a little bit of a dip in my energy, and then it's nice to lay down. What helps is to have the stuff that you need easily accessible, so the book on the nightstand or tossing the book in your bag wherever you go, just so that the opportunity keeps being there. And also having your yoga mat ready. Just lay it on the floor, and maybe you lay down on it and you read on your yoga mat, or you just lay down and you move your hips around a little, or maybe you end up doing a sun salutation, and just seeing what comes out first. Or having a YouTube playlist with yoga practices that you love that you can just grab so you don't have to think too much about it. I think that makes building a habit more sustainable. And then maybe also remembering your why. Why do you want to have these habits? Why do you want to do these things? Because sometimes in the moment we forget what we're doing it for, but it's good to have that reminder. So putting that in your notes or in your lock screen or tattoo it on your hand. I don't know. But having your why, I think, can also be really valuable. So that's my advice. Really resonating with the ramble on consumerism, I am a single mother of 4 children, struggling to pay the bills and feeling the need to buy presents for them for Christmas. How do I get myself to stop feeling the pressure to buy my kids more stuff? How do I stop comparing, stop feeling less than? I feel so guilty that I can't do more. My mental health is really suffering with this. What do I do? Ugh. Oh my god. You're a single mother of 4. I hope you're giving yourself a big fat pat on the shoulders for doing that. I have so much respect for you. You are a super woman. Now, I am not a mother. I can only speak as a daughter, as a person, and from what I studied and what I've seen with other families. Okay, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. I'm not a mother. I think that from what I've seen, criticizing yourself as a mom seems to be so normal. And also, of course, you love your children and you want the best for them. You want them to have the best life. And if in commercial ads, happy kids are being shown beneath a Christmas tree with a bunch of presents and they're all laughing and smiling, and then at school they're talking about presents and gift giving, and like it becomes this cultural thing, of course, it's like, I have to do that. I have to do that because that will make them happy. I think that the beautiful thing about being a mom seems to me, I would find, is that you have the opportunity to set the tone for your children in how to go about these things, and to also teach them things that you value as a person and what you believe in. And if that is less focused on consumerism and less focused on gift giving, then you can teach them that. And also, it doesn't have to be bigger and bigger and better and better. You can thrift something, maybe, or you can give them an experience gift of, hey, we're gonna go here and here and have fun. I think for kids, of course, I can't imagine, especially in this age with phones and everything, and just the insane amount of consumerism and buying things just to buy things. I can imagine that it's hard for them not to compare, because they're kids, they go to school, and one kid talks about a gift that they got and the other kid's like, you don't want your kid to feel left out, of course, or anything. I hope that they have good teachers who teach them good values around that, and accepting that not everyone's life looks the same. But it doesn't make you less of a wonderful super mom if you can't get them the most expensive freaking Lego set or whatever it is. But I also think that it's important to allow yourself the feelings of comparison and that pressure to buy things. I think the more that you push it away or steer away from it, the more like cramped up it kind of becomes. So when you catch yourself feeling really comparative or less than, I hope that you can recognize the feeling as it comes up, and then also remembering that that's just a feeling and the feeling is okay to be there. Where is that critic coming from? Whose voice is that? And is it really true? That's maybe a little bit too therapy-esque, because that's cognitive behavioral therapy, but it's catching yourself in a thought. How true is this thought? Where is it coming from? How am I acting, or how can I change the way that I'm acting and going about this? What's the consequence of this behavioral change? But it is usually the place where these things are coming from, because there is a lot of external pressure and noise and everything. But I think it's important to find your center again, know that you're doing a phenomenal job, and that not everything lies on those Christmas days. And there are 365 days in the year where you are keeping your children alive and healthy and taking care of them, and that's a beautiful thing. And they probably love you and want you to be happy and healthy as well. And if you can take this opportunity to teach them a little bit about not over-consuming and about what Christmas is really about, spending time with loved ones and connection, and it's not about the materials, then I think you're very, very well on your way. And I hope that you find the moments of rest and relaxation and clarity, when you're not feeling stressed and where you're like, all right, yeah, I am very much enough and I'm doing my best and it's all going to be okay and it's fine. Because I think you are doing an amazing job, and I think that everyone who's watching this video can agree. If you are a single mother of 4, you deserve a ribbon, for sure, and especially in this time with ads flying around everywhere to just buy stuff. It is hard to stay away from all that noise, but just the fact that you're aware of this is already so valuable and powerful, and I hope that you find the space to kind of step back from those thoughts a little and observe them and see what's going on and assess from there what you need. Because I think that you are very smart and you will get there. I am really, really sending you all my love and rooting for you, and I hope that you have a lovely, lovely Christmas. Now we're going to spill a little bit of tea. Hi Fleur, so during September to December, I've been dealing with this kind of situationship moment. The worst. This person is moving to another city back with his parents, but he says he want to keep the contact going, and I've been kind of grieving. I do feel crazy feeling like this in such a relatively short period of time. Do you have any tips to kind of just decenter men from your life or romance in general? I'm such a lover girl, but I don't want to have this drain me. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Your videos bring so much comfort. Thank you so much for your question. I'm curious to hear why you would want to decenter men or romance from your life. Was that already a thing that you wanted to do before this person came along, or is it now because you are in pain that you want to decenter them? That's the question that comes up in my head. I would think that that's a very natural thing to want when you're heartbroken and hurt and grieving. I do not think that you should feel crazy at all for grieving that. It is so understandable, especially with situationships. There is so much room for what ifing and a lot of questions that didn't get answered in how it could be. So, of course, that brings up grief, and missing a person brings up grief, and that is so okay. And I know it's a very uncomfortable feeling and it's a very not linear process, but I hope that you give yourself time to grieve. And you can decenter men and romance all you want, but that grief isn't going to go away from that. I just wanted to preface that, and it's okay to grieve and to be sad. To be quite honest with you, there's a situationship that I haven't gotten over in over a year, so it just takes time. And I'm still alive and kicking, and I'm doing all the things, and I'm living my life. I'm just living with a certain pain, and that's okay. This is not going to drain you, okay? You can handle this, you can deal with this, you are strong enough, and you're very normal for feeling this way. And also, September to December is still like a pretty decent amount of time. A lot of people date in that period of time and then get into a relationship. So feeling this way after that short amount of time, I think that's a very normal amount of time to feel intense feelings for someone. And it's just shitty that he's moving. So I get it. In general, decentering men and romance in your life, I do also try to decenter that a little because I was very much raised with the idea that I would need to find a partner in order to find ultimate happiness. And I don't believe that that's true. I think it's a beautiful addition to your life, but it doesn't make your life. Maddie Droxbeck is a creator that I really love, and she has a podcast called Emotionally Online. She talks about this all the time. I feel like you might know her since you call yourself a lover girl, and she's the CEO of Lover Girls Worldwide. I personally think decentering men and stuff, it helps to remember who you are outside of anybody and directing the energy that you would put towards finding love or romance or whatever into your friends for a while. And you could give yourself a little time frame if that makes it more digestible for you. In like the next 3 months, I'm just going to focus on my friends. I'm going to invest more time in my friends, and outside of that, I'll see whatever happens. And for me, that really helps. And I go through phases where sometimes I'm on a dating app and I'll see if I want to go on a date with someone, and there are periods where I don't want anything to do with anyone, and that's okay too. And being a lover girl is one of the best qualities to have, and direct that love towards yourself and your friends. And sometimes it is about romanticizing maybe a friendship or something, in the sense that treating your friends and yourself the way that you would want to be treated by a partner, or you would treat a romantic partner. A lot of the times, I think, when we grieve a situationship especially, it at the end becomes less about that person, but more the feeling that they provoked in you and what it did to you in that time where you felt all this joyous love and romance and tension, you know. That's a feeling that we're often missing, and you can kind of cultivate that through investing in friendship and setting up dates with your friends and romancing yourself a little. That might have been a very vague answer, but that's all I can kind of muster up right now. I highly recommend watching Maddie's videos if you haven't yet, and I am sending you all my love. Situationships are the worst, period. When are you coming back to Geneva? Also, how have you been? I love that question. I'm coming back to Geneva whenever my cousin and his wife will have me. They live in Geneva, and I love them. And I don't know if they asked this question, or if it was someone else. But I'm coming back whenever they want me back. And maybe, I don't know, maybe sometime next year I would love to go back. Generally, whether they'll have me or not, I'll just show up at their door anyway. So I really loved it there. I have been doing pretty good. I've been tired and like generally emotionally a bit up and down, but overall I feel pretty good. I feel quite confident, which is a nice feeling to have. And yeah, today my mom is doing a at-home Christmas sale for her yarn shop. So today there's just going to be a bunch of people shopping yarn in our living room, and I think it's going to be really fun. So I'm excited about that. I really wanted to do a voice memo, but it involves a bit too many steps for my mental health at the moment. Very understandable. I'm a longtime viewer of your ASMR channel and only began watching this channel when I saw the first comfort video. Ooh, thank you so much for being here. It's been so nice to learn more about you while not whispering, lol, and I really identify a lot with what you're going through, which just feels so unique and exciting because I live in Texas, US, and never would have thought that someone my age in another country would have similar experiences. I know, right? I get a lot of comments as well from people, and I'm like, this is crazy that we live such different lives, but also not. Being a human is a universal experience, of course, but I mean, it's pretty cool. Now for my actual question, do you ever deal with guilt around doing what you love versus doing what you went to school for? I work a part-time job and a full-time this is what I went to school for job, and I'm dealing with a personal pickle of whether or not to keep my study full-time job or follow my passions. I just turned 26 and I just feel this pressure to be successful. I know I want to pursue my passions and do the things that fulfill me rather than drain me, but I'm fighting this guilt within myself that I would be letting myself not doing the right thing. Girl, I get it. It's so hard. I feel pressure to be successful too, or, well, depending on the term of successful, but I think very financially stable and to get a house and in that sense successful. I feel that too. And I also know that I want to pursue my passions and do the things that fulfill me, but also feeling guilty for not doing the right thing or making the right choice. Very understandable. My camera battery is gonna die. I'll be right back. You know what, at this point, if you've been watching for this long, you probably don't even mind, but we're sitting on the floor because my charging cable is really short. Okay, to get back to the question of wanting to live your life, wanting to do what you want to do versus wanting to make the right choice. I made a video earlier in the past couple weeks about going at your own pace, living your life at your own pace. Life is too short to live in any way that anyone has thought that you should or how you thought you should in the past. We're people, we change, we grow, we evolve, we change our minds all the time. The only certain thing in life is change. And death, but also you're just growing all the time, and it's okay to want different things now than you wanted to when you started college. Remember what a different person you were when you started college. When I think back who I was when I started, it was very different, and I still do part-time something that I studied for, and I love that because I can still kind of use my brain. It feels safe to have somewhat of a backup plan. YouTube isn't forever for me, but I have no idea what I want to do long term. And I'm starting to feel more and more okay with that because life is just too short to stick to what is right. Because you don't know what is right. You know, who says that that thing that you studied for is the right choice? You know, it's maybe the more stable choice. It's the more expected choice. It's the more normal choice. But being normal? Boo. Boo, we don't want that, no. Anyway, I recommend watching that video. Maybe it will give you some comfort, but just, I hope that you make choices that bring you joy and follow the path that brings you joy. It's exciting. It's scary, but it's also exciting. Maybe you don't know how you're going to get to where you want to go, but knowing that you want to go somewhere is such an exciting thing. And yeah, it's definitely worth making time for. So I support you in your plan to go do what you want. Follow your heart, okay? Okay. Then we are going to do a bit of a quickfire question because a viewer asked 10 questions in one question. And I love that. So we're going to do quickfire before I go. 1. Have you watched Heated Rivalry yet? No, I still haven't finished the book. 2. Have you watched the new Frankenstein film? If so, what did you think of it? No, I haven't yet, but I think that Jacob Elordi looks pretty hot as Frankenstein. I don't know, but I saw something of it online in my YouTube feed, but I was like, okay. 3. Would you ever plan on doing a new video of what's on your bookshelf, like an updated one maybe? Yes, maybe this week. 4. Where do you get your tips or inspiration from when you want to start reading a new book? Heather McGlary, Haley Jean, Goodreads, the things that are on my shelf, bookstore, staff, book reviews, Emma Teubel, Dutch creator, Merel Logeman, Dutch creator. 5. Any countries you want to visit? Yes, I want to go back to Norway. I want to go back to Switzerland. I'd like to go to Italy again at some point. Haven't really been in Italy. Just once on a vacation, blah, blah, blah. Would love to come to the US someday when you guys get a different president. Would love to go to Canada, Sweden, Denmark. Yeah. 6. Since K-pop is such a huge phenomenon, and if I'm correct, it's also big in the Netherlands, have you ever been interested in K-pop or exploring the genre? Not really. 7. Have you only had cats in your life? Any other pets? No, we've had 2 cats. We currently have Tommy, who you guys know, celebrity at this point. We had Muppy. She was very cute. She was adopted. She was rescued from Syria. And she had cerebellar hypoplasia, so she wobbled a lot. She was adorable and a sweetheart. And before that, we had guinea pigs. Always had guinea pigs. I loved them so much. We had Jetske and Boukje and Knabbel and Bubble and Fifi. And yes, I named my pet Fifi, and she was my queen. I loved her so much. She made it to 6 years old. Shout out to Fifi. 8. Which holiday is your favorite? Christmas. I like Christmas. 9. Do you have a Letterboxd account, and if so, would you ever share it or make it public? I would if I still used it. I have it, but I'm not active on there, so I'm not going to share it. If I start picking it up again and I make it public, you'll be the first to know. 10. What did you wish for Christmas this year? I asked for, this is like an either or type of list, a rice cooker, the book My Friends by Frederick Beckman, the book The Martian by Andy Weir, or the Lord of the Rings extended DVDs. That's my Christmas list this year. And then that concludes all the questions. Thank you so much for asking me the questions, for taking the time to send them over, for listening to my yapping. I hope that I got to answer your questions and that you got out of this what you wanted to get out of this, I guess. I am sending you all my love. Here's a forehead kiss. And now I'm going to go turn the home into a yarn shop with Mom. See you tomorrow.